up, YouTube? Hope you can hear me. Should be able to. Let me speak up, project my voice more. But this is gonna be my part 2 video um, of anxiety, anxious thoughts, anxious feelings that you may get, and how to deal with it. So, my last video, part 1, I did use the inauguration kind of as a example of something that may cause some anxiety. Uh, you'll become visible of your anxieties by seeing things externally. But understand that's just revealing something that's going on with you internally that you need to deal with consciously, meaning placing your conscious where you feel the anxiety coming from in your body. So, um, my first thought is going to be that anxiety is like a child of fear. So anxiety is birthed from some sort of fear that you're having, that you're dealing with. And to really start to alleviate yourself of that fear, the anxiety is the gateway kind of. Like you have to see the anxiety first, and then you'll understand, oh, you have a greater fear that you're dealing with. So the best way I can describe this is telling you how I deal with or have dealt with anxieties. Many of you who may watch this video who or who may know me, I should say, know that by trade I'm a chef. So I cook in commercial high performance kitchens. It's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of stress and anxiety. And most of this fear, anxiety that we have as a chef is going to be from basically like failure or even criticism of some sort. Because in the eyes of a chef, sometimes a criticism is a failure. Well, that's to the untrained, really. But to the trained, criticism or a failure is really a opportunity to learn and actually get better. So it's actually a good thing. It's taking maybe something that you may feel is negative and turn it into a positive. So one way I started dealing when I first, broke into the industry as a chef, I would feel anxiety about performance, about how my bosses were perceiving me, how, if they, thought I was doing a good job, if I even felt I was doing a good job because I know I'm tired or, I know maybe the night before, it was a long day. I may have had it out with a manager or employee, it kind of affects you or whatever. And then being that you're cooking for people makes you really empathic. So you can feel people. If you're really into what you're doing, you can feel people. You can feel and what people like and what they don't like, at least if you're really good at what you do. And you also notice from just engaging and talking with people, touching tables where you go and talk to the person, ask them how their food was. You kind of get this whole training that you get when you encounter people. Like you first walk up to somebody that you don't know and you're asking about something that you put a lot of effort into and asking them how they liked it and whatnot. So you begin to become more aware of higher senses when you do things that really test you. And as a chef, I've really got in touch with my anxieties because I would develop a lot of them at work, because like I said, there's just a lot of pressure, to perform and pressure to be good at what you do and people to like what you're doing and people to like your food because like your job depended on it. So, of course, once you really get into the meat of that, you begin to, understand how to get better. So, I actually had an anxiety behind a particular boss of mine. And anytime she would come in, it would make me very, very anxious. I would just take a deep breath and I would just sometimes I wouldn't even exhale. I would hold my breath because it was kind of like I was preparing myself for a particular blow or a hit or something like that. So, because she was just notorious for coming at him, but it just happened repeatedly, right? Just, she would come in and just say all kind of stuff. Sometimes it would be, borderline racist stuff, and it was because she was racist, more because she was ignorant and she was just belligerent, she was obnoxious, and that really just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I basically ended up walking away from the job completely, I put a 2 week notice in and left, and that was how I dealt with it. But that wasn't the proper way of dealing with it. And once I began to meditate, I was able to go back in time and actually see where my anxieties had grew from. Now, I tell you, I say anxieties grew from because I actually had anxieties before this job, or that I actually also kind of rewound my life to actually figure out where I actually developed anxiety in the first place. And it actually came from playing sports, playing football. And once again, that's this pressure to perform, this pressure to be the best at what you do. That's where I started to actually first develop this anxiety. To I'll say an adult standpoint, because like I said, once you keep going further in meditation, you will see that you even develop it as a child somewhere. So I go back, and actually the actual performance to make good grades. You see, our lives, these emotions, these anxieties, fears, these lower level emotions and the higher level ones are all there, and it's basically which one you flex the most. And for us, for people nowadays, we flex the anxiety muscles, we flex these fear-based muscles a lot. And that's why they're repeatedly happening in our lives over lifetime. Just as you get older, you keep on facing it, and sometimes it's grown to just gigantic monster, and some of us it may be a little bit smaller. It just depends on how you've been dealing with it. But it's all about how you can identify your anxieties, identify your fears, and begin to see how it affects you. And then once you encounter it again, you deal with it differently. So when you actually feel the anxiety, take a deep breath in, release out, then begin to think about it. Don't take that deep breath in, start thinking, don't exhale anxiety out, because that's basically how you begin to become more aware, more body conscious, and you'll see where you're actually holding your breath, which is fear, bracing yourself for some kind of impact, which starts to make you think that things are going to happen, and things are, when things are going good, there's something going to come and mess it up. This is all programming, and I hope my video is helping you identify anxieties in yourself, because it's all internal. You feel it inside, you feel it internal, you feel the energy, and you just have to breathe, because that's the primal energy. Breath is the primal. Without breath, none of this anxieties don't even matter without breath. And if you don't begin to understand that that's the same thing that cures your anxieties is breath, because breath becomes a thought, and a thought becomes an understanding. Like one thing leads to another. The more you breathe that life into it, but you must be able to identify it first. If you can't properly identify where your anxiety comes from, then you can't fix it. Like a lot of melanated people have a problem with, race. You have a problem with this black skin because it's been something that's been programmed into you to believe that's a problem. And then once you actually identify that to be the problem, now you got this problem of trying to be pro-black, which means you're so into the skin that you're actually ignoring other stuff that's important. So it's really becomes a very twisted game that's played when people start to deal and try to manipulate people's emotions, and people's feelings towards themselves, and then manipulate others' opinions towards another people's opinions about themselves. So as melanated people, we have to be very conscientious of our emotions, our feelings, because that's the part of the attack. Your emotions can actually attack you. And I know anybody who has experienced any kind of real fear understands that. Literally, if you're scared, you'll shit on yourself. And excuse my French, but that's just a way of your body. You seeing how fear can control you, and an emotion can control you and actually make the body eliminate. And you've seen it all the time. People, pee or poop on themselves when they get scared. So, and that's just letting you know that if that's the case, you don't have a level of mind control that you need to gain. And like I said, I can talk about this all day long, but my time is wrapping up, and I want you guys to actually just meditate on that, meditate on anxieties, meditate on uh, how you cure your own anxieties, and you can begin to cure yourself of any kind of, emotional pain you may be going through.